Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to today's session. So welcome to the Finance 360 in which we cover the relevant and important finance current affairs and the RBI notifications, the RBI press releases which are very important from your examination point of view. And in today's session I have brought for you a very important RBI notification that is released by the Reserve Bank of India. The RBI has recently updated the directions of the CCPs, that is the central counterparties. So RBI has released the new directions for the CCPs and the older directions have been repealed. So what are the new directions that we are going to discuss in today's session? And you can see that this news article, this topic is quite in news, and so it becomes very relevant for your understanding. Okay, so we will understand that what are central counterparties and what are these new directions that you have to understand. Okay, so I hope you understand the relevance of this topic, and in today's session we are going to have the coverage of this very important topic. So let's get started, but before that, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap and join our Telegram channel where you will get the PDF of the session. Okay, so let's get started. Based on the periodic review of the directions for the central counterparties, the RBI has updated the directions governing the functioning of the central counterparties. So there is the update that has happened in the directions for the central counterparties, and the earlier directions that were released in 2019, that has been repealed. So the earlier directions have been repealed and the new directions have came into being. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, so do tell me if the brightness is okay or if the brightness is not fine. Okay, so I hope you are able to see clearly. And based on the periodic review, the new directions have been released for the central counterparties. So who are the central counterparties? Central counterparties, see, the A wants to buy Reliance Industry shares, let's say. The A wants to buy the Reliance Industry shares and B wants to sell the Reliance Industry shares. Okay, so A wants to buy the Reliance Industry shares and B wants to sell the Reliance Industry shares. Through their trading platforms, they have raised the request, or they have initiated the buy and sell. So the clearance and the settlement, the clearing of the trade and the settlement of the trade is done by the central counterparty. There is Clearing Corporation of India in our country, the Indian Clearing Corporation Limited, NSE Clearing Limited. So there are different central counterparties that can clear and settle the trade. And the central counterparties, they clear and settle the trade through the method of novation. Through the method of novation. So what is this method of novation? So central counterparties, they become the seller. They become the seller for the buyer and they become the buyer for the seller. That means from B, the central counterparty, that is, let's say CCIL. So CCIL is purchasing the Reliance Industry shares from the B party, and so the CCP or the CCIL has become the buyer to the seller, and the CCIL, after getting the shares, will sell the shares to the A. Okay, so the CCP has become the seller to the buyer, and the CCP will receive the money which will be transferred to the seller in a way. Okay, so the CCP has came as an intermediary, as a middle entity which is becoming the seller to the buyer and buyer to the seller. So that is the idea. So central counterparty, they mean a system provider who by way of novation, novation means they become the buyer to the seller and seller to the buyer, interposes. So CCP, through the way of novation, interposes between system participants, between the buyer and seller in the transactions admitted for settlement. Okay, so the initiation of trade is done by the A and B through their trading platforms, and now the CCP will clear and settle the trade through the way of novation, thereby becoming the buyer to the every seller and seller to every buyer for the transaction to be completed for the purpose of effecting settlement of their transaction. So I hope this is very much clear that who are the CCPs? Who are the CCPs? The CCPs are the clearing corporations. You can understand the Clearing Corporation of India, and these are the important central counterparties, and they, through the method of novation, they are clearing and settling the trades. Okay, So this is the central counterparties. So for them, the directions have been updated. So directions on governance. Now from the management point of view, from the static point of view, from the current affairs point of view, the corporate governance is very, very important. And in the phase 2, usually you have seen the paragraph based question from this topic. Okay. So it becomes very, very important. So now directions on governance for domestic central counterparties authorized to operate in India by the Reserve Bank of India. So for governance, the CCPs, the central counterparties, for the governance, they will have a board. They will have a board. So composition of board, the board of every authorized CCP shall consist of the nominee directors. Nominee directors are the ones that are nominated by the shareholder in pursuance of the Articles of Association. So what is Article of Association? Article of Association is usually a document that is foundational to the existence and governance of a country. Like for the existence and governance of India, we have Constitution. So Constitution is the document that is very important for the governance of the country, for the maintenance of the rules and regulation in the country. Similarly, Article of Association constitute a document that is foundational to the existence and governance of the company. So on the basis, on the pursuance of Articles of Association, any shareholder can nominate the nominee director. Okay. So nominee directors means a director that is nominated by any shareholder in accordance with the Article of Association of the CCP, or any financial institution on the basis of some rules and regulation can also nominate the nominee director. Okay. So the central counterparty board will consist of nominee directors. The central counterparty will also consist of the independent directors. Independent directors, they are independent of any relationship with the CCP. That means they do not have any material relationship with the central counterparty, or they do not have any direct relationship with the central counterparty. So independent director is a member of the board of directors who does not have a material relationship or who does not have a direct relationship with the company. Okay, so they are the independent directors that are looking after the board of directors, or that are a member of the board of directors, so that they can provide their inputs. Okay, so they do not have any direct relationship with the company other than being the independent directors. Okay, and they are not part of company's executive team. Executive team is the team that is looking after the day-to-day operation of the company. So the independent directors, they are not a part of the executive team, so they do not look after the day-to-day operations of the company. So the independent directors, they are not involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. Independent directors are the part of the board that take the strategic decisions for the company, and they meet for the important decisions only, not for the day-to-day working. Now there is also, so independent director is there. There is also one managing director. Okay, so managing director is not nominee director. Managing director is not your independent director. Managing director is chosen for managing and for the different purpose. Okay, so there is a managing director that is different from the nominee director or the independent director, and managing director, because it is a managing director, so it is a part of your board of directors. Okay, such other directors as may be notified by RBI from time to time can also become the board of directors. Okay, can also become the member in the board of director. So board shall have a minimum number of directors as specified in the Companies Act of 2013. So this is the whole idea. I hope it is clear. Now the managing director shall be an ex officio director on the board, because there is a MD. So a company must, like a company has a managing director, a company has a MD. So because the company has a MD and the person has got such an important position, so because the person is a MD, he or she also becomes the member of the board of directors, because the person is the MD. So MD shall be an ex officio director on the board. Ex officio means that because the person is the MD, so the person will also become the director of the board. Okay, and shall not be included. So MD is not included in the independent director category or nominee director category. The number of independent directors on the board and the committees. So there are different committees of the CCP. There is nomination and remuneration committee, risk management committee. So different committees are there in the CCP. So the number of independent directors on the board and the committee of the CCP should be at least equal to the number of nominee director, including the managing director. And in case of the equality of votes, let's say the independent directors have given the vote for a yes decision, the nominee directors and the managing director. So equality of votes have happened. So now the chairperson of the board will have a second or casting vote. So the chairperson of the board or committee, who is an independent director usually, shall have a second or casting vote. So I hope this is very much clear. Any confusion, anyone? Give me a thumbs up if everything is clear till now. Okay. Now, no foreign institutional investor shall have any representation in the board of the authorized CCP. So the foreign institutional investor cannot become the member of the board of directors. That is the basic idea. And the last point is that the quorum for a meeting, the members that are coming for the meeting of the board of directors of the CCP shall be one third of the total number of the directors, or at least 3 directors should be present for the meeting to be conducted. Okay, so either 1/3 of the total number of directors should be present, or at least 3 directors should be present. Whichever is higher, that number of directors should be present for any meeting to happen. At least half of the directors attending the meeting of the board shall be independent directors. So at least half of the members that are attending the meeting should be independent directors. Any confusion till now? Is it clear? Is everything clear? Yes or no? So now moving forward with the appointment. Second point. So the number, see, the number of independent director should be equal to the number of nominee director plus the managing director. Okay. In case the independent directors have said yes to a decision and nominee director and managing director have said no to a decision, so there is equality of votes that have happened. Let's say 5 are saying yes, 5 are saying no. So in this case, the chairperson of the board, the chairman of the board will have a second or casting vote. That is the chairperson of the board, that is also independent director. So only the independent director can become the chairperson of the board. So the independent director, that is the chairperson of the board, will have a second vote, will have an additional vote, So plus 1, so the votes will become 6. Okay. So I hope this is clear, that chairperson who is member of, like, who is also an independent director, he or she has the second vote or additional vote. Now coming to the appointment of chairperson. So the term of chairperson shall not be beyond 3 years. So the term of the chairperson shall be for 3 years only. The term of the chairperson may be extended by another term in subject to the satisfactory performance reviewed and approved by the RBI. The maximum permissible age for appointment or continuation of non-executive chairperson. So non-executive chairperson means independent chairperson. The chairperson is the independent director. The chairperson is the independent director. That means the chairperson is the non-executive director, because the chairperson or the independent directors, they do not undertake any kind of day-to-day operations, right? So chairperson is the non-executive director, that because the chairperson is the independent director that do not get involved in the day-to-day operation of the company. Okay, so maximum permissible age for appointment or continuation as the chairperson shall be 70 years. Subject to prior approval of RBI, the chairperson shall be elected by the board from amongst the independent directors. So from the independent directors, the chairperson will be chosen, and there will be a list that will be sent to the Reserve Bank of India that these or this person is like shortlisted to become the chairperson. Now RBI will approve this. So CCP shall forward to the RBI the name or the names of the candidate or the candidates who have offered to function as the chairperson. So whoever is shortlisted will be, the list will be sent to the RBI, okay, with the name or the names. So RBI will have the right to check the integrity, the qualification, and the RBI would scrutinize the application to determine the suitability of the person, and on the basis of the Reserve Bank of India, the decision will be taken. The RBI will scrutinize, and after that RBI will say that okay, this person is fine or not. Okay, so whatever is the approval or otherwise will be communicated to the CCP, and only after that, if the RBI approves, only after that the person can become the chairperson. Okay, so the final decision is in the hands of the RBI, because RBI will scrutinize that the person is good or not, the person has integrity or not, the person has qualification or not. Only after that, if the RBI has scrutinized and approved, only after that the person can become the chairperson. I hope this much is clear. Okay. Now coming to the independent directors, nominee directors, they are appointed for a maximum of 2 terms of 3 years each, or up to 70 years of age. Okay, so the nominee directors or independent directors, they can be selected or they can work for 3 years tenure, and the tenure can be extended to 3 more years, that is 2 tenures they can work for the same company, or up to the age of 70 they can work for the company as a nominee director or independent director. A cooling off period of 3 years shall be applicable before a nominee director becomes the independent director. Let's say the nominee director has finished his or her tenure. Now the director has been chosen for the independent director. So there should be a time lag of 3 years. That means in the middle there should be a cooling off period of 3 years where the director has, where the person has no position. Okay, so a nominee director, if he wants to become a independent director, there should be a gap of 3 years. There should be a gap of 3 years. That is the cooling off period of 3 years. Okay, so this is the idea. Now the appointment of managing director. So the term of managing director shall not be beyond 5 years, because the MD is a very powerful position in the company. Okay, so MD, the term of the MD shall not be beyond 5 years. The term of the managing director may be extended by another term or up to 65 years of age. So for the managing director, the age limit is 65 years. So these are some of the important points. Now coming to the net worth. So directions on the net worth requirement and the ownership of CCPs. So first of all, every applicant that seek the authorization to become the CCP. So if you want to be recognized as the CCP, or you want to become the authorized CCP under the section 5 of the Act, shall have a minimum net worth of 300 crores. Okay, so for the CCPs, the minimum net worth requirement is 300 crores at the time of submitting its application. And then if you have become the authorized CCP on the continuous basis, you should have the net worth of rupees 300 crores. So RBI, based on its assessment of the CCP, can prescribe higher net worth also, but for now the net worth, the minimum net worth that the CCPs should be having is rupees 300 crores. Okay, so minimum net worth requirement is 300 crores. So an authorized CCP shall not distribute profits in any manner to its shareholders until the net worth has been achieved. So the RBI has said that on the continuous basis, the CCP should have the minimum net worth of 300 crores. Let's say that this XYZ company has been authorized as the CCP. Let's say this XYZ company has been authorized as the CCP, but now after the authorization, the CCP dilutes, or there is some problem that happens and the net worth decreases to only 250 crores. So now the CCP cannot provide any profits to the shareholders until this company, that is the CCP, gains back the net worth, the minimum net worth of rupees 300 crores. So that is the idea. Okay, so every authorized CCP shall submit an audited net worth certificate as at close of financial year from the statutory, from the legal auditor, from the relevant auditor within 6 months of the closure of the financial year. So the financial year closes from, the financial year is going on 2024. So financial year started in 1st April 2024, which will end on 31st March 2025. So within 6 months of the closure of the financial year, so after 31st March 2025, within 6 months, the certificate has to be, net worth certificate has to be provided to the RBI. So the CCP has to submit an audited net worth certificate at the close of the financial year within 6 months as per the audited, as per the statutory auditor. Okay, the net worth is required to be computed as per the instructions issued by the RBI. So a CCP shall hold liquid net assets funded by equity capital. So if the CCP is selling its shares, so the equity capital, whatever assets the CCP has gained by selling its shares equal to the minimum of 6 months, the liquid asset has to be kept. Okay, so CCP shall hold liquid net asset, the liquid money funds that the CCP has received by selling a part of its shares. So minimum for 6 months the CCP has to hold that money with itself. Okay, of the current, for the current operating expenses. Okay, so whatever, like let's say 5% or 2% of the shares has been sold by the CCP, so whatever money the CCP has received, so CCP has to keep it in the liquid net asset. Okay, so that the CCP can use this liquid net asset for its operating expenses. The CCP should not just directly invest it in the long term, because how the CCP is going to run its operating expenses if the CCP is just investing all the money in the long-term investments. Okay, so CCP should be holding, at least for the minimum 6 months, CCP should be holding the money for its operating expenses, the money it has received by selling the equity capital. Now, ownership of CCPs. So the authorized CCP shall be public company limited by shares. That means it should be it should be selling its shares. Okay, so it should be a public company limited that is providing its shares. The shares of an authorized CCP shall be held by person who are users of the authorized CCP, who are the buyers or sellers in the authorized CCP. If a person stops to be a user, the CCP shall ensure that the person shares are divested. That is, person shares are bought back by the CCP. Okay, the provided no person or class of persons shall directly or indirectly, individually or in concert or in group acquire or hold more than such percentage of the shares as prescribed by the RBI from time to time. So RBI will prescribe a percentage. So no entity, no person individually or in concert can have more than that percentage. Let's say RBI has prescribed a percentage, no individual, no entity can have more than the prescribed percentage. Okay, so that is the idea. Now, eligibility for acquiring or holding shares applicable for domestic CCPs. So no person shall directly or indirectly acquire or hold the shares unless he or she fulfills the fit and proper criteria, and no person shall transfer, divest, sell, buy the equity shares of an authorized CCP without prior approval of RBI if the shares volume is 5%, or more than 5%. So no person or no entity can sell, buy, divest or transfer the shares if the transfer of shares is equal to or more than 5% of the shares of the CCP, or where the acquisition of shares and cumulative shareholding reaches 5% or more. So that means if 5% of shares are involved, then no person without the approval of RBI can gain the shares or transfer the shares. Okay, so if you want to get the shares, if you want to transfer the shares, if you want to acquire the shares of 5% or more than 5%, then you have to take the prior approval from RBI. That is the basic idea. Okay, authorized CCP shall inform RBI about the transfer or divestment within 15 calendar days of approval of transfer or divestment of equity shares. So this is the idea. Now coming to the last part of the session, a foreign CCP may apply to the RBI for the approval as a recognized CCP to be clearing and settling the trade in India. Okay. So now an application shall be made in such form and manner as prescribed under the Payment and Settlement System Regulation of 2008. So there is Payment and Settlement System Act of 2007, then there is Payment and Settlement System Regulations of 2008. Okay, so application that is given by the foreign CCP, if the foreign CCP wants to work in India for clearing and settlement of the trade. So if the foreign CCP wants to be authorized in India, they have to fill the application made in such form and manner as prescribed under the PSS regulation of 2008, accompanied by such fee as prescribed by the RBI. So this is the idea. Okay, so directions for central counterparties have been released. The directions are very lengthy. I have just picked some important points. In the directions, there is also the discussion about the nomination and remuneration committee, the risk management committee, the review committee, and so. There are various committees that have been discussed. So you can go and read the complete directions for the central counterparties. I have just provided you some important points. Okay, I will suggest you that do go through the complete directions or you can go it near to the examination, because the governance rules and the directions becomes very important when RBI releases the new directions. Okay. So based on a periodic review, the new directions have been released for the central counterparties, and the provisions of these directions shall apply to the domestic central counterparty as well as to the foreign central counterparties recognized by the RBI to clear and settle the trade in India. Any confusion anyone has till now? So this is the end. I will show you the questions, but before that, any confusion anyone has? Any confusion? No confusion? So this is the end of the session. I will show you the questions, but before that, any confusion? Clear? Okay. Okay then. Before moving forward with the questions, let me show you. If you go to edutap.in, you will go to the EduTap's website. So if you go to edutap.in, you will go to the EduTap's website, where you can go to free material to the blog, and you can get the free material. Okay, you can get much of the information regarding the examination that you are preparing. So you can go to the end of the page, and here you can see that you can get the exam information regarding the examination you are preparing. So let's say you are preparing for RBI Grade B, so you can get the important exam information, you can get the strategy, you can also see the success stories, like you can also read the blogs that how the toppers have achieved their dream and how they have achieved the success. Okay, so success stories also you can read, and if like in the page itself, in the main page, if you go to courses, you can also see the courses that is available for any of the examination, and you can know about the course, you can know about the things that you are getting in the course, because whatever we are giving has been written here in detail, so that you have the clarity before purchasing anything. You should have the clarity, right? So if you are going to purchase any of the course, do read that what is being provided to you, so that you have the clarity. Okay, now I hope today's topic was clear to you. If there is any confusion you have, you can write in the comment section. Now this is the first question. I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. Which of the following statements is or are correct as per the updated directions that you have to tell me? Okay, so I hope you will be able to answer this question. And the second question is regarding the investment. So this is also easy question. If you remember the percentage, you will be able to answer the question very easily. So this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the session, and if there is any confusion, you can write in the comment section. In the comment section, you can write your queries, as well as do give me the right answer of the homework question in the comment section. Okay, so thank you very much for attending the session, everyone. I hope everything is clear in today's session, but still if you have any query, you can ask. Okay.